Hi, hey, hello, and welcome to another episode of a Colts podcast. Yes, I did have the temptation to say the educated fan. My name is Brandon, and I am joined here by your co-host, my best friend, and we are the educated fans. Welcome, Andrew. Sorry, my brain's not working. It's working about as well as my voice is right now. So to all of our fans, I'm so sorry for the less than energetic intro. That was me trying, to be completely honest. Buddy, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right for a wash the jersey episode.
It is a
Um,
wash the jersey episode.
Unfortunately, it was a long drive back from Indianapolis yesterday. Not only because the traffic in Indy was terrible, but I just come away from that Colts game thinking, man, the Colts should have won that game. They really should have. And
Could have.
just
Really
thinking
could have.
about all the things that they did yesterday and how close they were despite all of the mistakes that they made, and we're going to talk about that obviously. But really the Colts, despite all those mistakes, very well could have won that game yesterday.
Yep.
And then unfortunate circumstances happened at the end of the game. I was going to probably have Ram down the line. Very well could be this Sunday. So I thought for a Colts game that they made way too many mistakes, obviously, to overcome. The game was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be, even, and I thought it was going to be about a touchdown game. And the Colts really had a chance to win it at the end if Carson Wentz is out there, I believe. But we got a lot to talk about today, brother.
Yeah, I said at the tailgate, Andrew, before we went in, I said, I think somebody might have asked me, like, what's a good game today look like? You know what I mean? I said, you know what? I'm going to have fun today, and I'm going to be happy with this Colts football team as long as we keep it close. As long as we don't get just absolutely, shit kicked, I'm going to be okay. And then, you say that because that's the logical thing, and then your heart gets ripped out while you're there. So I was not happy after the game. I was upset because we had opportunities to win the game. Yeah, I don't know. We're obviously going to get into it. Let's just go ahead. But before we do, I already had it up here. But again, everybody, go check out our socials. A Colts Podcast, at a Colts Podcast on Twitter, and a Colts Podcast on Facebook. And obviously, if you're listening to this, guys, not live, and you're maybe listening to the podcast, why don't you just hop on down there, hit subscribe, leave a review. How's Pat McAfee say it? He goes, if you love the show, leave a 5-star review. Tell us about it. If you don't like the show, just keep on moving. Don't say a word. Is how Pat likes to put it. So just do that. But yeah, Colts lose 27-24. Andrew, I don't even know what to say. Is the highlight of the game? What was it? Why did you know what I mean? It was an up and down game. I think there were 3, maybe 4 lead changes. I mean, the game was wild. What stuck out to you the most about yesterday?
I think it kind of shows how wild the game was, just considering you don't have a voice, and we're more than 24 hours after the final whistle yesterday.
Oh yeah, I was already losing it first quarter. I started talking. I was like, uh-oh, well, I'm in trouble today.
So, I mean, the Colts, and that just kind of shows how rocking Lucas Oil Stadium was. I mean, I told you how it was week 1. Well, you got to experience it. So when the Colts were playing well, the crowd was into it. I mean, like I said, that's probably it's still one of the loudest I've heard in years. And I think my main takeaway is when Carson Wentz has time to throw, Carson Wentz is a damn good quarterback. I mean, he looked sharp yesterday. I fully believe the Colts aren't in that game without Carson Wentz's heroics. And yesterday, again, we'll talk about the offensive line, but they didn't do their job again. And Carson Wentz was really running for his life yesterday. Like the stats say, he finished 20 for 31 for 247 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. But I think what it showed, and even I think it showed, even with all that chaos around him, I got vibes. I'm not saying he's Andrew Luck, but I got that same vibe where I never really felt that we were truly out of the game because Carson Wentz was back there, and because
especially in the second half,
because those things changed, and there's the plays that he could make to get the Colts back into it. I mean, at the flick of a wrist, I mean, he was under pressure and he launched one 50 yards down the field to Michael Pittman Jr., who made a phenomenal catch. And hey, look, I know I'm starting to go all over the place, but when you get the ball, when you get the ball in Michael Pittman's hands, good things happen. So I think that's what stuck out to me. And now we're having to deal with an injury to Carson Wentz. And it was found out today that not only is it one ankle, it's both ankles. So that's definitely going to set the Colts back. And it really what was your takeaway from Carson Wentz from yesterday's performance?
I'm less happy with Carson Wentz this week than I was last week. I did think we saw a bit more of we saw glimpses of hero ball Carson Wentz. When he made a few mistakes, he had the interception. He's 20 out of 31. I mean, realistically, that's not a great completion percentage. But I mean, he still racked up 247 yards and that touchdown. But overall, I mean, he was running for his life again. And so what can we expect from him? You know what I mean? The fact that he threw one interception is probably, looking at the bright side instead of multiple. But like you mentioned, he's hurt again. And that's what we're dealing with. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Offensive line stinks. Colts quarterback injured. You know what I mean? And I don't know how we have offensive line so far down on this list, Andrew. I don't know how we're going to hold off on talking about it for a whole nother topic. But I mean, overall, I'm happy with his performance. I really love that he was starting to find Michael Pittman Jr. so often. That makes me feel real good about what we have going forward. And keep in mind, again, he was down 2 weapons. Paris Campbell was out this week as well. Game week 2. What did I say? He was going to make it to week 3 before he missed a game. I mean, he's not out for the season, is he, Andrew?
No, he's not.
Thank God, because that's typically how it goes with the guy. I can't help it, but I mean, with Carson Wentz making do with what he had again.
Yeah, and I think looking back, I mean, I do want to talk about that interception real quick because it was on a quick shovel pass. Now, I did want to watch the film again on it because it was on the opposite end zone for me, so I didn't really get a clear look at it. And
were we on opposite sides?
And maybe it was on the opposite end zone for me. So if he was right in front of you, then we definitely.
I thought it was right in front of me, but I could be remembering incorrectly. I wasn't just drinking water yesterday. You know what I mean?
but anyways, so you watch that play over again, and it's actually a great play by Aaron Donald because Jack Doyle is supposed to kind of go in between.
Great play by Aaron Donald.
Go in between, and Aaron Donald kind of chips him. And while the ball is already in the air when Jack Doyle falls down, which I mean, that's not on Carson Wentz. I mean,
it felt like Carson was running for a long time before he threw that shovel pass.
And so if you watch that, that's how that play is supposed to be. If the one route in the flat is covered, which Nyheim Hines was pretty much covered, then Carson will go back and do the quick shovel pass to Jack Doyle, who at that point is supposed to be running right behind Mark Glowinski and Quentin Nelson, and it's pretty much you follow those guys right into the end zone.
Right.
So what happened is Nyheim was covered, but as Nyheim was covered, Aaron Donald set chips on Jack Doyle, knocks him off balance, and the ball is already in the air when that happens. So Jack Doyle falls down, and that linebacker is just there. Yeah. So I don't really put that on Carson Wentz. At first I did. I thought, man, bad decision. Watching the tape over again, it shows clearly that it wasn't his fault. It was just a great defensive play, and it messed up. Yeah. So I think overall,
I personally never would have found that in the tape like you do. So that's what you're good for.
So yeah, thanks. Just the tape guy.
Talking me off the clips.
So there we go. So honestly, and then I think if I've already gotten back to this, if Carson Wentz is on the field for that final drive, I think I really do think the Colts have a good shot at winning because the Colts still had the momentum. There was still a good 2 to 3 minutes left. And the way Carson Wentz in that offense were moving the ball down the field, I think they had a good shot to at least get it into field goal range for Hot Rod to kick it through and send us to overtime. And then once you're in overtime, who knows what's going to happen.
Right.
But now we're going to
go ahead.
But now we're going to talk about this injury where he's got a high ankle sprain on his right ankle and a moderate ankle sprain on his left. Now, the one on his left ankle, that occurred earlier in the game, and obviously he was able to play through that. So that's good news. At least that's not prohibiting him from playing. It's the high ankle sprain on his right ankle that's what he came out of the game for, and that's why he wasn't able to come back in.
And which for a quarterback, that's the one you don't want.
That's for a right-handed quarterback. That is your back foot.
It's where all your power comes from. It's not the one you want to be injured if you could pick one of the two. It's not good. I was pissed. I was not happy that he was off the field. I mean, at that point, he was on the sideline limping across the field. You know what I mean? And I was like, you better go sit your ass down or walk out onto that field right now. I don't want to see this limping I'm showing the team. I don't care right now. I'm so upset that Jacob Eason's on the field right now, who, by the way, glad he's not our starting quarterback right now, right? Might be this week. I'm being harsh on Eason. I'm being a little harsh. But, this injury, after just 2 drives of Jacob Eason, I'm not feeling real good if Carson Wentz is going to miss a game or 2 or whatever because of an ankle sprain.
Right. And then, some fans, if you didn't actually see it happen, they probably upset. Like, well, why isn't Carson out there to go lead the team? Well, you look at the replay, his ankle bent backwards. That's not a way that your ankle should bend. And he tried. He was upset. You saw him throw his helmet on the ground. They took his shoe off. They taped it. They retaped it. He tried to do some 5-step drops, kind of showing what he could do. And it just was not, wasn't a good, he couldn't make a drop. So let alone make a drop. When Aaron Donald's rushing at you, the guys, there's a chance you're going to injure it worse and then possibly be out for the rest of the year. So it was just a tough situation. When you listen to his post-game comments in his post-game presser, he was not happy. He seemed very disappointed. He seemed very he even said, I feel like I let my team down. And the thing is, I'm surprised his ankle didn't break, but for how it twisted up underneath a 290-pound Aaron Donald. So I don't put any of that on Carson Wentz. I think if people are saying that Carson Wentz isn't tough, you're not paying attention, because the guy is playing through foot surgery. He already had a sprained ankle. He's got a second one. Quentin Nelson said that this guy is the best player, or is the toughest player on our team. So if you're not listening to that, then I really don't know what to say for you.
Shout out Annex Conda. I don't know how to say her name right. But hey, shout out, thanks. And Andrew, I can't believe we don't have this on the list, honestly, but I guess we could lump it in with this next segment here about the red zone troubles. 1 out of 4 in the red zone. One of those obviously being that interception. I don't remember what the number was last week, but it was also not great in the red zone. What's going on? Is this on Frank? 100% of Frank? Is this on the offensive line, who can't even get one of the best running backs in the league a touchdown between the tackles? What is going on in the red zone right now? I can't figure it out. And I on that note, why can't Jonathan Taylor punch the ball into the damn end zone? Why? That's going to go into the next segment. Why don't we just talk about the red zone, Andrew?
I think it's a combination of all of it. We'll start out with
flustered.
We'll start out with Frank Reich. I think he was very predictable, especially on that first drive. You run it 3 times up the gut, and then you try to do a hurry up with a bootleg outside where there's only really one option. If it's covered, you're kind of screwed. I don't think it was good play calling. I think that maybe on second down or so, if you want to run on first down, run behind Quentin Nelson and Ryan Kelly. Sure, don't fault you for that. Yeah. If you want to, but I think maybe on second down, you've got the Colts have gotten so many big wide receivers and big weapons. Michael Pittman Jr., 6'4", Mike Strawn, 6'5", Jack Doyle, 6'3", Mo Alley Cox, 6'5". At some point, go throw the ball up and let your receivers and let your playmakers try to make a play.
they had Pittman single covered on one of the plays. And he was the only one out wide on his own, single covered. Nobody was helping. Didn't even consider throwing the football.
One of the things that I find very, very interesting and very confusing is, what do you remember last year when Pittman was coming out of college, and we talked to Matt Turpinning, and he said that whenever they were there at USC practice, they didn't see Michael Pittman lose a one-on-one rep or a jump ball. Not a single one.
I remember that. Yeah.
I think I can count on my hand how many times the Colts have tried to throw a jump ball up to Michael Pittman so far.
Yeah.
And none of them have been in the red zone. The one time I can remember him getting a ball in the red zone and down by the goal line was that fourth down call against Buffalo when Phillip Rivers overthrew him. And I don't think that was a great play call either. So at some point, like, I don't know if I'm really a fan of the fade route to the back corner of the end zone, but at least do something to give your big wide receivers a shot and not be predictable where you just run it up the gut, and it's very predictable. The Rams knew exactly what was coming.
Yeah, that's definitely part of the problem, Andrew. You talk about the fade in the corner of the end zone. I saw a college quarterback make a perfect fade pass. It was Purdue against Notre Dame. Purdue's quarterback threw a dime on Saturday. Perfect back shoulder ball that worked out. I don't know why we're not, like you said, trying to use the advantages we have in size of players, for those situations. So, especially Mike Strawn, I felt like was very uninvolved yesterday compared to week one. I think he had one catch.
I don't even know if he had a catch yesterday. Honestly,
I don't know for sure either. I'll look it up, but while you start talking again, but the Reds. I mean, we were one of the best red zone offenses last year.
I wouldn't say we were one of the best. We were better for sure, and I think that was partially Phillip Rivers. But it seems like even since 2018, it seems like the Reich and the Colts offense can move the ball down the field. But it's a lot of times we've talked about this numerous times, how it seems like as soon as they get into the red zone, drives just stall out and they can't finish drives. And so I put that on, at this point, I put a lot of that on Frank Reich. But at the same time, and this is going to lead into our next topic, when you're running behind an all-pro and Quentin Nelson, a Pro Bowler, and Ryan Kelly, you would expect to get 1 yard on 3 attempts, and on a player in Jonathan Taylor as well, who we're very high on, who the entire Colts organization is very high on. That's just unacceptable. And Quentin Nelson said as much after the game. He said, "This is not Indianapolis Colts football," and he said he vowed to get it back. So we'll see what happens against Tennessee. But when you have so many resources put into this offensive line, I mean, you sign Eric Fisher, you draft Quentin Nelson in the top 10, draft Ryan Kelly in the first round, Braden Smith in the second. I mean, even though Braden Smith wasn't out there, you get what I'm saying. When you put so many resources into this offensive line, it needs to be one of the strengths of your team in order to have success. And right now, it just isn't. It just isn't. The offensive line is not getting it done.
First 2 opportunities in the red zone, Andrew, 6 plays inside the 5, 0 points.
Mm-hmm. You're not going to win. You're not going to win. I don't care if you're playing the Jaguars, the Texans, the Jets. You're not going to win a football game if that's going to happen. The Colts.
We even won the turnover battle last week, and still, we couldn't win the football game because of his situations exactly like this.
The Colts played at times yesterday like a better team than the Los Angeles Rams. But when you shoot yourself in the foot that many times against a good team like the Rams, you're not going to be able to overcome it, and that's why the Colts are 0-2.
All right, offensive line bad once again. We hinted at that yet? I'm not sure if we've let people know that that's what we thought. I saw an interesting thought today from somebody on Twitter who admitted, hey, I'm not, some film genius, so maybe somebody a little smarter than me tell me, and I'll take the same good self-advice here. How much of this is Phillip Rivers? How much of the offensive line trouble is not, obviously it's not skill. I highly doubt that it's a lack of effort right now. How much of it is the offensive line is not set up for success because maybe Carson doesn't make the same checks or protection changes that Phil would have seen because he knew what the defenses were going to be doing more than Carson does? Or is this on Ryan Kelly?
And that's tough because you don't exactly know what all of their code words mean. You
Right.
don't know when they are specifically checking two different protections, when they're making dummy calls at the line of scrimmage, because that all still happens. I think I will say this: Philip Rivers, his knowledge at the line of scrimmage is something it's very, very rare, and I think that we need to take that into account. But
it comes with experience. The guys you talk about in that neighborhood with Phil Rivers are Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. Those kind of guys are the ones you're talking about in that conversation.
Right. Now, in 2018, Andrew Luck was helping make a lot of those calls at the line of scrimmage, but Andrew Luck is Andrew Luck. We go to 2019, the offensive line of the Colts was still pretty dominant in 2019, and Jacoby Brissett was back there. Jacoby Brissett, I can guarantee you, wasn't making those checks. It was on Ryan. It was on Ryan Kelly, and I think Quentin Nelson said it best. And if you haven't watched the presser from last night of Quentin Nelson, it's probably the most emotional you'll ever see Quentin Nelson. He was pissed.
I'm excited to watch it. I haven't gotten to it yet.
And he said at some point it's just football. It's 11 on 11. You got to go out there and you got to win your matchups, and that's what the Colts aren't doing. I mean, they gave up 18 pressures yesterday against this Rams defense. They gave up 17 the week before. I mean, Eric Fisher came into the game yesterday, got his first start. Eric Fisher played pretty well. You didn't hear his name a lot because he was doing his job.
Yeah, you don't want to hear an offensive lineman's name a lot.
When you look at the left side, Eric Fisher and Quentin Nelson gave up a combined one pressure yesterday. The rest of the four guys, Ryan Kelly, Mark Lewinsky, Julian Davenport, who, by the way, Julian Davenport is making me miss LaRaven Clark, by the way, and Matt Pryor, because Eric Fisher would come out sometimes and they'd put Julian Davenport over the left tackle, Matt Pryor at right. They gave up 17 pressures, just those four guys. Julian Davenport was awful. Mark Lewinsky didn't hold up. Ryan Kelly played pretty bad. It's frustrating because this is the group that we expected to be the Colts' strength. This is the group this is one of the reasons why Carson Wentz wanted to come to Indy, because he would be protected by this offensive line. The Colts have $90 million in Braden Smith, $60 to $70 million in Ryan Kelly. They're going to have a record-breaking contract in Quentin Nelson. They've got about $10 million in Eric Fisher. It's not cutting it. And Carson Wentz came to this team, and now he's still getting bruised and abused like he was in Philadelphia. I mean, if you're Carson Wentz, it's like, how do I get out of this so I can get some help? This offensive line, if the offensive line is going to keep this up, it's going to be a very rough year for the Indianapolis Colts, and they might have a first-round pick because Carson Wentz might not play all the year because he's injured, and the Colts probably won't have a winning record if this keeps up.
You didn't want to yell at Paige for coming in the room? I always yell at Danny.
I just saw the door open. I didn't know if it was Bailey. I didn't know who it was. So
no, yeah. Well, I'm not at home right now. I'm still down in Indy, going to a concert tomorrow night. So I'm another new background for the fans here. Andrew, Heidi says hello. She says her husband enjoyed, but apparently she said he is still listening. Enjoys listening to us. That says a lot. Thank you, Heidi, and
awesome.
and your husband. We love you guys. Thanks for listening. But yeah, so I don't know. Where are we moving on? We still talking about this offensive line? I'm pissed. Listen, Quentin Nelson does not like talking to the media. Okay, and the fact that he's getting emotional and upset talking to the upset part doesn't surprise me, but the fact that he said more than a few words does. But he's right. I mean, that's a good way of putting it. Football, it's just football, and it's 11 on 11, and you got to win your matchups. So,
and really, I think Quentin Nelson, you didn't really hear Aaron Donald's name when he was faced up against Quentin Nelson. And Quentin Nelson is Quentin Nelson's also coming off a foot surgery and a bad back. He's still doing his job. The other guys have Eric Fisher coming off a torn Achilles. He did his job. The other guys don't have an excuse. I know Ryan Kelly has an hyperextended elbow, but Mark Lewinsky's been healthy. Julian Davenport's been healthy. There's no excuse. Win your matchups.
And as a matter of fact, Heidi, big fan of ours and big supporter, famous on Twitter, sent me some messages this morning like, hey, I don't watch football like I'm trying to watch football and see it the way you guys do. She goes, how much of this with the offensive line, is the fact that some of them are playing, at 80%. So they're not all at 100%. They're trying to get on the field because we need them. But they're not 100%. So that has something to do with it. I saw something today that was hilarious about, they're like, guys, do you see now how good Anthony Costanzo was? RIP to me. I don't know if you realize how good Anthony Costanzo was. I'm like, I don't understand why you're talking about Anthony Costanzo. The left side was, again, not the problem for the majority of the time. But here's something I thought of after the episode the other night that I've been wanting to bring up. What was our biggest need going into this past offseason? What did we think was the biggest issue that needed addressed?
It was the left tackle position and offensive tackle depth overall.
Offensive line depth and the left tackle position. We seem to have addressed one of those, but here we are again dealing with an injury at the tackle position that has caused our offensive line to crumble. I'm not happy with Chris Ballard right now in that regard. Just that. I still love Chris Ballard. I'm not one of these people jumping on, his ass and Frank's. I still love Chris Ballard, but I'm not very happy about that, to be completely honest.
I think it's a valid point. I mean, because while we did get Eric Fisher, it did seem like the Colts went bargain shopping a little bit. I mean, yeah. You talk about they signed Julian Davenport, Sam Tevy to these low minimum deals. I mean, at some point you have to think when you're getting guys for that level, you're paying for what you get for. What you get. And I mean, Sam Tevy was bad in the preseason before he tore his ACL. Will Holden isn't on this team anymore. Julian Davenport, obviously, he's given up 13 pressures alone in 2 games. That's not going to cut it. I mean, like I said, at this point, I'd rather have LaRaven Clark or Joe Haig, someone that isn't going to at least give up 13 pressures in 2 games. And I think it can be said that Chris Ballard, and he's his own worst critic as well. So he knows that this isn't working out. So it is something that I think when we talk to him or hear from him in the middle of the year or after the quarter of year, it's something that needs to be addressed and talked about.
All right, Pittman. We got to get it moving here. Pittman, great game. 8 catches, 123 yards. That one, the big one, was down towards my corner. So we enjoyed that a lot. I don't know if you've seen my new Twitter picture, but I mean, that was just one instance of me on the stairs, like pumping everybody up. So, I mean, he had me very excited.
Well, like I said earlier, when Michael Pittman has the ball in his hands, good things happen. And I told you on Wednesday, I was like, Michael Pittman needs to be more involved. He really does. And Frank Reich needs to do that. Sure enough, look what happened. We start feeding the ball to Michael Pittman and he starts going off and the Colts are driving down the field. The offense looked a lot better this week because we were getting it into the playmakers' hands. We weren't trying to spread the ball around just for spreading the ball around's sake. Get it to your best players and let them go to work. And that's what happened. So very encouraged from what I saw from Michael Pittman. I definitely think the Colts need to continue on with this. And he's showing that he can be that next wide receiver if this continues. And it's only going to get better once T.Y. Hilton comes back, because then you're not just sliding the protection always over to T.Y. Hilton. You have to account for Michael Pittman as well.
And Paris Campbell, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, realistically, great game from him. Maybe he could have gotten a touchdown. That'd have been nice. Slap a few more, points on the board for us.
I mean, maybe try to throw it to him on second down from the 1 yard line. I mean, just a thought. Yeah,
it's a passing league. If you hadn't heard, the pass rush, Andrew. They created pressure, but not as much as they did last week, I don't think. So we thought Matt Stafford, less mobile guy, let's get a few more sacks this week, right? Was not the case.
No, it wasn't. I think the only sack they had was Al-Qadim Muhammad. I mean, shout out Al-Qadim Muhammad. So we'll see what happens. I do think that Kwity Paye, he looked good in run protection. Again, he was going up against a great left tackle in Andrew Whitworth, so he's not getting the most favorable matchups. But we do need to start seeing Kwity Paye have a little bit more of an effect in the passing game. So I think that's something to look forward to. DeForest Buckner was able to create pressure. Grover Stewart, right now, it seems like Grover Stewart is a better cornerback than he is a defensive tackle. I mean, he almost came away with that interception. The roof would have blown off of Lucas Oil if that would have happened. But I haven't seen much out of the pass rush. I'm not necessarily worried quite yet, but Ben Banigou's only played 10 snaps in 2 games. Kamoko Toure, you've hardly heard his name. Tyquan Lewis is been very quiet out there. We need to see more production and more, at least more pressure to force it so the secondary doesn't have to sit back there for years and try to guard these good wide receivers.
Cooper Kupp, better day than Michael Pittman Jr. Tore us up. I mean, bad. 9 catches, 163 yards, 2 touchdowns. I'm pretty sure I told Paige not to start him in fantasy football this week. Bad decision. I personally, Andrew, I'll answer before I ask you, am not concerned about the secondary yet. I'll tell you why after you tell me if you're concerned. You're trying to figure out how the hell I'm not concerned, aren't you?
Well, no, I'm trying to figure out the right words to say. I'm not panic concerned.
Sure.
But I'm at the point where we need to see changes. And by seeing changes, I mean changes in play, not changes in personnel per se.
Sure.
I mean, Kenny Moore again, I really didn't think he had a great game. I mean, there were a lot of times where they picked on Kenny Moore and he allowed those completions. TJ Carey was just been bad. TJ Carey was bad. Rock Ya-Sin gave up a touchdown yesterday. Outside of that, I mean, he was okay, but I don't think Xavier Rhodes coming back really changes that much of this. It just seems like the Colts are letting guys get open and they're not staying within 5 yards of a wide receiver. How many times did Cooper Kupp catch the ball yesterday? And there was just no one around him. And it was very, very disheartening to see when you expect so much more out of this secondary, and we haven't really seen it. Kari Willis had a bad start to the game again, falling down while Cooper Kupp got his first touchdown. He redeemed himself a little bit with the interception, but again, it just has to be better. It really does if the Colts want to play winning football.
Yeah. Here's why I'm not as concerned with the second. Don't get me wrong. We've got some problems in the secondary, but I'm not super concerned just as an overall thought on the unit because we didn't create a lot of pressure yesterday, not as much as we should have. So, I feel like I did feel like Matt Stafford had a long time back there to throw the football. I mean, eventually somebody's going to get open. It's not easy. It's not easy to cover guys. That's why cornerback is probably, that demands the most athleticism out of any position on the field, I would say. It's hard to cover these guys that can run a 4.2, it jumps so high, runs so fast, cut, turn, it's hard to do that job. So that's why I'm not super concerned about the secondary in general. Not to mention, Matt Stafford and the Rams weapons and Sean McVay, pretty good unit.
Yeah, they really are. I would just like to see maybe the Colts defenders, especially in the secondary, compete a little bit more. Not make it so easy for Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp to just get open. And because there were drives where the Colts would get them to third down. It'd be 3rd and 7 to 3rd and 9. And Stafford completes a 12-yard pass across the middle for the first down, and the drive just keeps extending and extending and extending. And again, it's just not winning football. It really isn't.
Yeah. Before we go into the other news, Andrew, just as a whole, how are you feeling after that game just about this team and it's 2 games down, 0-2. Unfortunately, the Titans won. How are you feeling about the team?
I still think this team has potential. I really do. I think the major issues are, number one, they need to get healthy. They really do. Quentin Nelson, I feel like, is going to unfortunately have this back issue all year. We need Braden Smith back. Darius Leonard obviously is not playing at 100% either. That ankle is severely bothering him, and I think that's why we're not seeing the Darius Leonard that we expect, the guy that's flying all over the field making tackles, is because that ankle isn't 100% right. Xavier Rhodes isn't out there. Carson Wentz, and then the biggest one of all is Carson Wentz. If Carson Wentz isn't out there, I really don't have too much confidence in this team with Jacob Eason. I just really don't. So I think that's the biggest thing. Now, if Carson Wentz can come back, if the other guys can get healthy and sustain themselves, then this team does have potential. I mean, having them be 0-2 to start just because of the teams that they were playing, it wasn't unrealistic. I mean, both of us picked against the Rams. So
yeah,
I don't know, even if they would have played well in all of the phases, but then still lost, would we be more worried today? Because if they play their best game and still can't beat the Rams, then what do we have? They didn't. I
didn't think that was the best football game we could play.
They didn't play a very good game, a very complete game at all, and they still had a chance to win late in the fourth quarter. So I think we can take that away from it. But again, it's really all going to depend on, can Carson Wentz get back from these ankle injuries? Because this next week, one of our biggest games of the probably of the season against Tennessee. This is going to be huge in the tiebreaker for the division, and it's one where we need to see the Colts go out there and get a victory.
I think, and I still think, the Rams are a Super Bowl team. Okay, so I mean, we're, as do you. So you and I are either really wrong about that, or the Colts are pretty good. I think the Rams played their best game yesterday? No, but the Colts also didn't. And I know that's true because the pessimist is going to say, but that's what they put on tape. That's what they did. 2 weeks in a row now, you can say they haven't played their best game, but it's guys that we know are capable of playing better. There's guys that would be playing better, like Darius Leonard. If he wasn't a little dinged up, he looked drained and tired. Here we go. Halfway through the show, here it goes. You just can't sit here and say we're not playing, disagree with the fact that we're not playing our best football, because we've seen these guys that are not playing well do a lot better. And it's not like all of them are, around that age where you're going, oh, is it time to retire? Tom Brady's going to play till he's 50, if you haven't heard. So I'm not too worried about the, age. It's just they didn't have good games. And that's where I'm at on that.
Yeah, and I think, I guess, to give us a little bit of hope as we go through, the biggest question mark heading into this year was how can Carson Wentz be as a starting quarterback for the Colts?
And he's been the only consistently good player the last 2 weeks.
2 games in, he's outplayed my expectations 2 games in. And I think, if again, the big can he stay healthy? If he can stay healthy, this Colts offensive line starts performing like we know, the defense kind of settles in. I think Carson Wentz is going to be a great fit and be a quarterback that the Colts can make deep January playoff runs in.
Big news broke the other day, Andrew. It was 8:30 on a Thursday night, and a commercial comes on the TV screen. Hard Knocks in the season, Colts. Your initial reaction and how you're feeling now.
We were in
Say in the chat too. What do you guys think? Put it in the chat.
We were in a horseshoe huddle meeting when it came out, and Jake goes, "Oh wow, big news just broke."
That's not what Jake said.
He said something to that effect. But yeah, I mean, it could go either way. It can be pretty awesome because you're going to see. I never expected to see the Colts on Hard Knocks. But then again, everyone's Hard Knocks is always a distraction. It seems like now it's especially in the middle of the season. So we'll have to see. And I really want to know how this is all going to work, because obviously the Colts production team is around the Colts in the off season all the time. So they're used to cameras being around them, but Hard Knocks is a different story. I'm excited to see the behind the scenes access that Hard Knocks provides. It can't be a distraction for this team, especially right now with everything going on.
Paige said, "Oh, great. Another night of football responsibilities." I was like, yeah, It's just kind of how it goes. Yeah, I'm not happy about it, to be complete. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to thoroughly enjoy watching it. I mean, I will very much enjoy watching it, but I'm not happy it's happening. Not really at all, to be completely honest with you. It is a distraction. That's what it is. And honestly, I'm not so sure we could use one of those right now, with everything going on with injuries and vaccination this, vaccination that. I have a feeling HBO is going to make some subtle jabs on, national pay-per-view type TV at the Colts and the unvaccinated players. So I'm really hoping that doesn't happen, because that'll piss me off. But other than that, it'll be fun to watch for sure.
Well, at the end of the day, Jim Irsay and Chris Ballard get to review and help edit that and make sure that it's all what they want to be out there.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure there is a limit to what they can veto, and I'm pretty sure it's only in regards to content that they have filmed of the team specifically, and obviously stuff that's being said in front of these people that's being filmed. But I mean, HBO can still create some kind of shitty narrative to make the Colts look bad if they want to. So cross our fingers and hope that doesn't happen. Injuries, as I got a little prematurely excited about here a minute ago, put on screen. Carson Wentz ankles to be scanned and evaluated this week, probably. Well, just the high ones getting scanned, I assume.
The scans happen today. Yeah. The evaluation will continue throughout the week, and hopefully he plays on Sunday again in Tennessee. So on our preview episode, I'll have a better update as far as where they're at on that.
Offensive tackle Braden Smith foot. There was question marks around whether or not he'd be back yesterday. He was not, so I'd expect he goes next week.
It'll all depend on if he can return to practice. The Colts haven't discussed putting him on IR yet, which is a good sign.
Xavier Rhodes, calf. I don't know about do we have a timeline for him? This is week 2.
He was supposed to return to practice last week, they thought, and he just really couldn't do it. So I would expect him to be at practice this week.
Okay, and Paris Campbell abdomen this back in practice this week.
Yeah, it happened on Friday's practice. They really haven't said too much about what's going on there. His rookie year, he had an abdomen injury and it caused him to miss some time. So hopefully it's not something related to that, but we'll find out more on Wednesday.
And Colts signed cornerback Chris Wilcox to the practice squad and released safety Sean Davis from the practice squad. There's too many Sean Davises. I'm getting confused. I feel like we just said this.
Well, guess what? Now there's no more Sean Davises on the team because both of them have been cut and they are no longer with the team.
Were either one of them claimed?
Nope. Neither one of them have been claimed. But the rookie Sean Davis, that's the one that was just released. So that the 5th round pick in the 2021 draft.
But they could end up back on the practice squad.
Very well could.
Yeah. All right. Let's move it along then, Andrew. Thursday night football. What? I'm confused about our title here. Anyway, let's talk about some games. Thursday night, Giants at Washington football team. Shocked at how that game went. Washington's defense might not be as good as we thought. They won 30-29.
30-29 after an offsides penalty by Dexter Lawrence, and I forget his name, but Washington's kicker had missed the field goal, and the Giants were going to pull it off, and that is the ultimate bad beat. If you had the Giants money line on that, Dexter Lawrence jumps off sides, and Washington kicks it through.
Chris Ballard called that a dumbass offsides penalty. Yeah, I didn't have the Giants money line, but I did have the Washington football team spread. So I think I did a same game parlay for that too for fun. I think all of them lost.
Same here. The ice cold streak continues.
Yeah, Bears. I'm on a cold streak this week. Bears 20, Bengals 17. I picked the Bengals honestly, and I kind of believed it, but close game. Didn't watch it.
Andy Dalton got hurt, and Justin Fields saw his first big-time action. Joe Burrow was picked off 3 consecutive times in a row, so that you're not going to win a football game doing that. So
that sucks.
Put that one on Burrow.
Browns didn't handle the Texans as badly as I thought they would, but they did win 31-21.
Tyrod Taylor got hurt in this game. This is a big week for injuries. Tyrod Taylor got hurt. So did Baker Mayfield at one point. Jarvis Landry as well. So now the Texans don't have Tyrod Taylor. He's going to be out a few weeks. Don't have Deshaun Watson. It's up to Davis Mills, the rookie out of Stanford, for the Texans.
Speaking of Deshaun Watson, the Dolphins better just go ahead and fork up those 3 1s or whatever is being asked for, because the Bills just trounced them yesterday, 35-0. Tua was bad, I hear. Tyler's mailing it in on the season already. I expect him to be a Colts fan the rest of the year, but he's done. He's done. He's an overreaction kind of guy, though.
Tua was another one that came out of the game for a rib injury and didn't return. So good old Jacoby Brissett. Colts fans, you want Jacoby Brissett back? That's what you're going to get, a 35-0 loss to the Bills.
Yikes. Patriots 25, Jets 6. No surprise there.
Zach Wilson picked off 4 times. Not good. Yikes. Mac Jones looked pretty good, but hey.
What I tell you, the rookies against Bill Belichick, it's not a good day.
It's not.
I think the Jets head coach, Saleh, after the game, he said, I think we're just right there. 20, I didn't know the score when I heard that quote. 25-6, you're not just right there, pal. Niners edge out the Eagles 17-11. Nick Sirianni almost started out undefeated after 2 weeks.
Yeah, I thought this game was going to be actually not as close as it was. I thought the 49ers were going to run away with it, but Nick Sirianni is keeping his team in on these games.
Yeah, now here's the one that you always have a game in week 2 or 3 that makes you go, oh, I don't know anything about football. And that was this one. The Raiders 26, Steelers 17. After the Raiders just beat what we thought was the best AFC team, probably. Then did I say the Raiders or Steelers? You get it. Steelers beat the Bills. Raiders somehow are 2-0, one of 8 undefeated teams in the league.
That's pretty wild. I mean, John Gruden's got the wagons are going. Derek Carr looks pretty good. I mean, Derek Carr. Derek
Carr's leading the MVP race right now. You think him or Kyler Murray?
Him or Kyler Murray, I'd say. I mean, Derek Carr's look good, and I mean, good for him. I've always liked Derek Carr as a person, as a quarterback, and I'm not real too high on him, but as a person, great guy.
Yeah. Panthers. He always when they win a primetime game, he always gives some cheesy post game speech at the end, like, "Oh, Derek, how'd you complete that pass?" Well, man, my boys out there, I just love the Raiders so much, man. I mean, he really goes. It's ridiculous. Panthers. Here's another one. The football's broken. Panthers were undefeated, 26-7 over the Saints. What happened?
Famous Jameis happened. I mean, 1 week you get Jameis going off. The next week he looks terrible. And
Sean Payton should just start him and Taysom Hill every other week.
We talked about this before the game. I was asking you, should I bet on the Saints to beat the Panthers? And you convinced me to do it. Never again. They look bad.
I would have called that the lock of the week. Probably. Broncos beat the Jaguars. Urban Meyer urging fans not to panic yet. Okay. Cardinals barely won. They won on a missed field goal by the Vikings, well within field goal range, 34-33.
Yeah, it was a lot closer, definitely, than I thought it was going to be. Kirk Cousins was balling to Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. So we'll see what these Vikings team turns into. I feel like the Vikings are going to be tough to predict week by week.
All right, Andrew. Bucks 48, Falcons 25. Not really a surprise there.
Tom Brady went off. Somebody
said, I hope it's 24-3. But that's not how it panned out. Cowboys win. We thought that was going to be a close game. It was 20-17 over the Chargers.
Yeah.
Did you watch anything from that?
I watched a little bit of it on the way home. Definitely thought the Cowboys looked a lot better. Michael Parsons, with DeMarcus Lawrence out, Michael Parsons was put in as defensive end and had a really good game. So we might see him completely switch positions to a pass rusher.
Interesting. Titans beat the Seahawks 33-30, and you might be wondering, how did that happen? 2 words for you: Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry, the Titans made a great comeback. I heard that there was some. I didn't watch that game, but I heard there were some issues with the refs. But that just kind of shows the Titans are going to be a tough team next week for Indianapolis in Tennessee.
And the Ravens beat the Chiefs last night, 36-35. Another close one.
You hate to see it with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. The Chiefs are just going to run out the ball or run to get into field goal range and kick the game winner. He fumbles. The Ravens pick it up. I mean, for Lamar Jackson saying that the Chiefs were their kryptonite, hey, maybe he got over it. So
he finally got his win. First one.
Yep, there we go.
Playoffs, look out.
Hey,
that's what?
Think about it. The Colts really are only one game behind the Bills and the Chiefs and the Browns.
And we don't have a single AFC loss yet.
That is true.
So realistically, we're like half a game behind them.
And we're one game behind the Ravens. So you got to think. Don't panic too much. We're 2 games into the season.
Half a game. No. Yeah, that was an AFC team. I say we're half a game. I'm going to call it half a game,
Okay.
Considering the AFC loss. All right, news around the league. Andrew, it's injuries. Steelers, no way. I hadn't heard this yet. Steelers linebacker TJ Watt got paid last week, out of the game this week. Hilarious. Good for him. I mean, he got rich the right week. That's beautiful. Left game versus the Raiders. Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa ribs. Left game versus the Bills. Stop me if you want to talk about one of these, Andrew. You already talked about all of them while we're going over scores. Bears quarterback Andy Dalton knee left the game versus the Bengals. Chargers right tackle Brian Beluga back going to IR.
Beluga, like a beluga whale. It's Balaga.
You get it. To be honest, I'm a little dyslexic, and I thought his name was Beluga literally forever. Like, that was not just me reading and not paying attention. Dyslexia, you get it.
T's and P's.
T's and P's. Dyslexia and IBS, you know what I'm saying? Packers linebacker Zadarius Smith back, going on IR. And Browns wide receiver Jarvis Landry, MCL sprain week to week. He'll come back.
Yeah, it was just a tough day for injuries all around the league. Yeah. With the TJ Watt one's definitely the biggest one, but it looks like he does have a chance to play this week. That was up in the air. And then the other one is Andy Dalton. If Andy Dalton has to miss a significant amount of time, Justin Fields might be taking the starting position for good as the quarterback for the Bears.
Apparently, people only come to this show for the Colts talk, Andrew. Everyone's left us. Thanks for sticking around to the real ones. Player of the game, Andrew. I think we both just are going to have to agree on this one. I usually try to come up with another one, but there's no one else to point out.
So this week it's Michael Pittman Jr. and deservedly so. I mean, 8 catches, 123 yards. He showed that he can be relied upon, and you can game plan around Michael Pittman Jr. and use him as a weapon all game long, not just thinking, oh, well, he'll get his 2 to 3 touches by spreading the ball around. I've told you last week, I've never been a fan of that. Get it into your playmakers' hands. Get it into T.Y. Hilton's hands, Michael Pittman Jr.'s hands. Give it to your best players and let them make plays. And that's what happened. The Colts offense was quite a bit better because of it. And I really hope that Frank Reich and the Colts continue to make Michael Pittman Jr. a priority moving forward.
Yeah, he's got to be. He has to be, because he's good.
He's too good not to be.
That's what he is. All right, Andrew. I think that's it. I'm gonna give my voice a break. I say I'm going to a concert tomorrow night, so I'll just shut up tomorrow night and just I'll be that weirdo that just is standing in the corner watching the band, kind of giving a little
head nod.
Music, no screaming, singing, but I'm excited about that. Go follow us. Like I said, a Colts podcast. Go check us out on Facebook, Instagram, the old Tweeter. Andrew, I guess I'm at a loss for words.
We're heading into week 3, and it's a crucial week 3. It's our first divisional matchup of the year. Carson Wentz hopefully can bounce back and be available to play on Sunday against the Titans. And this one's going to probably go a long way into determining who is the AFC South champion at the end of the year. So huge game. We'll have to see what happens.
Alrighty, guys. I'll eventually make a new outro, song. Maybe add a little of the sheriff's voice. If you're watching right now, stop watching. At the end, when I do my thing here, click subscribe, click the little bell for alerts so you know when we're coming on, and then go listen to the sheriff with his brother Eli Manning on ESPN2 for Monday Night Football. And until next time, guys, God bless you all. God bless football. Go Colts.
Go Colts.